Hello, wonderful dreamers, and welcome to our FantasyGleam magical story time. Snuggle up in your cozy beds, close your eyes, and let's journey to a land of wonder. Tonight, our story is about a very special wooden puppet who dreamed of becoming a real boy. Once upon a time, in a small, cozy village in Italy, lived a kind old woodcarver named Geppetto. He was a master of his craft, but he was also very lonely. One day, while working in his little shop, surrounded by cuckoo clocks and wooden toys, he had a wonderful idea. He decided to carve a puppet from a special piece of pine wood. He worked carefully, carving a cheerful face, little hands, and dancing feet. "I will call you Pinocchio," he said with a happy sigh, admiring his creation. "You'll be the son I've always wished for." Geppetto put the finished puppet on a shelf and went to bed, dreaming of having a real son to share his life with. That very night, as the moonbeams danced through the workshop window, Geppetto saw a bright, twinkling star. He made a heartfelt wish upon it. "Oh, shining star," he whispered, "I wish my little Pinocchio could be a real boy." His wish was so pure and full of love that it reached the ears of the blue fairy. She floated down from the sky, her dress shimmering like starlight, and entered the quiet workshop. With a gentle wave of her magic wand, she touched the wooden puppet. A soft, magical light enveloped Pinocchio. "Little puppet made of pine," she sang softly, "wake. The gift of life is thine." Suddenly, Pinocchio's wooden eyes blinked open. He wiggled his fingers and kicked his feet. He could move. He could talk. Geppetto woke up to the sound and couldn't believe his eyes. His little wooden son was alive. He danced around the room with joy, hugging Pinocchio tightly. The blue fairy smiled warmly and said, "Geppetto, your wish has been heard. But for Pinocchio to become a real boy, he must prove himself to be brave, truthful, and unselfish. I will give him a conscience to help guide him." And with a poof, a wise little cricket named Jiminy appeared, promising to stay by Pinocchio's side and help him choose right from wrong. The next morning, Geppetto was so proud. He sold his only coat to buy Pinocchio a schoolbook so he could get a proper education. "Now you can go to school and learn like a real boy," he said, waving goodbye. Pinocchio, with Jiminy Cricket tucked in his pocket, set off for school, his heart full of excitement. However, the world was full of temptations. On his way, Pinocchio met a sly fox named Honest John and his bumbling cat companion Gideon. They saw the naive little puppet and saw an opportunity. "School?" the fox scoffed. "Why go to school when you can be a star? An actor. The great puppeteer Stromboli will make you famous." The idea of fame and fun was too much for Pinocchio to resist. Forgetting his promise to Geppetto and ignoring Jiminy's warnings, he sold his schoolbook and followed the fox to Stromboli's puppet show. On stage, Pinocchio was a sensation. He could dance and sing without any strings. The crowd roared with applause. Pinocchio felt proud, but his happiness was short-lived. After the show, the cruel Stromboli locked him in a birdcage. "You're my little wooden gold mine," the puppeteer cackled. "You'll make me rich." Pinocchio was trapped. He cried for help, realizing his terrible mistake. Just then, the blue fairy appeared in a swirl of sparkling light. "Why weren't you at school, Pinocchio?" she asked gently. Afraid to admit the truth, Pinocchio lied. "Oh, I was captured by big green monsters," he stammered. As the words left his mouth, something strange happened. His nose began to grow. "And they had ... huge wings," he added. Asterisk BOing. Asterisk, his nose grew even longer, sprouting leaves and a little bird's nest at the end. The blue fairy looked at him with kind but knowing eyes. "Pinocchio, a lie will keep growing and growing until it is as plain as the nose on your face." Ashamed, Pinocchio told the truth. The fairy, seeing his remorse, forgave him and set him free. returning his nose to its normal size. "This is the last time I can help you," she warned. "Remember to be brave and truthful." Free once more, Pinocchio promised to go straight home. But on his way, he once again ran into the cunning Honest John. This time, the fox told him of a magical place called Pleasure Island, a land with no school, no rules, only fun, games, and candy all day long. Once again, Pinocchio was tempted. He, along with other naughty boys, boarded a coach to the island, ignoring Jiminy Cricket's frantic pleas. Pleasure Island was exactly as described, a paradise of treats and mischief. But there was a dark secret. The island was cursed. As the boys misbehaved, they slowly began to transform into donkeys, who were then sold to work in salt mines. Horrified, Pinocchio saw his friend Lampwick transform completely. He felt ears and a tail beginning to sprout on his own body. With Jiminy's help, he managed to escape just in time, diving into the sea and swimming away from the terrible island. He swam and swam until he reached the shores of his village, but when he got to Geppetto's workshop, it was empty. A letter from the Blue Fairy, delivered by a dove, explained the heartbreaking news. Geppetto, worried sick about Pinocchio, had set out to sea in a small boat to find him, but had been swallowed by a monstrous whale named Monstro. Without a second thought, Pinocchio knew what he had to do. This was his chance to be brave and unselfish. He tied a rock to his donkey tail and leaped into the deep, dark ocean, determined to find his father. He searched the vast waters until he, too, was swallowed by the giant whale. Inside the whale's enormous belly, it was dark and cavernous. But then he saw a faint light. It was a lantern on a small raft, and on that raft was Geppetto. They were overjoyed to be reunited, hugging each other tightly. But they were still trapped. Pinocchio, however, had a clever idea. "Father, let's build a big fire," he said. They gathered pieces of wood from wrecked ships inside the whale's stomach and set them ablaze. The smoke grew thicker and thicker, tickling the inside of Monstro's belly. It made the whale dot 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 achoo. With a tremendous sneeze, Monstro shot the raft out of his mouth and high into the air. They landed in the stormy sea. The whale, furious, chased after them, smashing their raft to pieces. Geppetto, old and weak, couldn't swim. "Save yourself, son," he cried, but Pinocchio refused to leave him. With all his might, the little wooden puppet grabbed his father and swam through the crashing waves, pushing him towards the shore until he collapsed from exhaustion, his wooden body lifeless on the sand. Geppetto carried Pinocchio's still form back to the workshop, his heart broken. He laid him on the bed, weeping for the brave little puppet who had sacrificed himself. But the Blue Fairy had been watching. She saw that Pinocchio had finally proven himself to be brave, truthful, and unselfish. He had risked everything for someone he loved. A brilliant light filled the room. The Blue Fairy appeared one last time and touched Pinocchio with her wand. "Awake, Pinocchio, awake," she said softly. "You have proven yourself worthy. Now you shall be a real boy." Slowly, Pinocchio's wooden limbs turned to flesh and blood. He opened his eyes, no longer a puppet, but a real, living, breathing boy. Geppetto couldn't believe his happiness. They danced and celebrated, their hearts full of joy. Geppetto's wish had finally, truly come true. And Pinocchio, the boy who learned the value of honesty and courage, lived happily ever after with his loving father. And now, my little dreamer, it's time for you to rest. May your dreams be as magical and adventurous as Pinocchio's journey. Good night and sleep tight. Thank you for listening. For more wonderful bedtime stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our FantasyGleam channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Sweet dreams.